When I was growing up, Halloween H20 was actually a fairly celebrated sequel. I remember being on the original Halloween movies message board and, us discussing the franchise and it being pretty highly praised, H2O. But it seems when the new recent trilogy came out, a lot of the shine and luster was taken off of H2O. And now you see a lot of comments about it being a Scream Light sequel with a terrible mask, terrible cinematography, terrible music, terrible soundtrack, an outdated movie with a horrible Michael Myers and a terribly retconned ending. A lot of negativity towards H2O, and there's still a lot of people that praise the movie, but a lot of negativity has seeped in as well. Today, I welcome both the haters and the fans of H2O. Come into the weeds with me, and let's try to answer the theories and questions that H2O posed. Hey guys, Vic here, and welcome to another video talking about the Halloween franchise. Today, it's time to discuss H2O. I don't want to give a full review of the movie. Everybody's seen the movie. We all have our thoughts about the movie. I just want to talk about some of the theories and questions I've heard fans talk about over the years. See if I can give my sort of opinion, try to answer some of these theories. Now, let's just talk about the opening of H2O, this opening scene, just to frame things a little bit. Remember, in this timeline, Michael Myers actually did not die at the end of Halloween 2, even though we saw him burning to a crisp pretty clearly. In this timeline, Michael Myers did in fact escape. His body was never found. So he's been missing, been low key, just gone for 20 years, maybe hiding in a sewer, getting beat up by kids named Corey, maybe hiding in his underground lair in the Myers house, hoping that no dangertainment bullshit will come into his house. Who knows? But he's been gone for 20 years. That's where we start H2O as Nurse Miriam arrives home to find that her home has been broken into. Which, listen, if I'm Nurse Miriam and I had this past with Michael Myers, I'm immediately thinking, oh shit, Michael Myers is coming to kill me. She maybe doesn't think that, but instead she goes over to her neighbor's house where the kid from Third Rock from the Sun is hanging out with his friend. She gets them to come check out the house. Jimmy, as the teen is called, checks out the house, warning any possible threat inside the house that he's been suspended 5 times that year for getting crazy with the stick. Now, Michael Myers might have heard this and then later on stuck a skate in Jimmy's face just because the kid was annoying the shit out of him. I don't know. But this is the opening of Halloween H2O. We find out that the real reason that Michael was here was to find out information about Laurie Strode. Laurie Strode, who we see a clipping on the wall during the credits of H2O, and it clearly says she died in a car accident. But we're going to find out, of course, as we all know, that Laurie Strode faked her death, moved to California, and became Carrie Tate. Now, there's so many questions I have about this opening scene. First thing, we can talk about where the hell has Michael been the last 20 years? He escaped from that hospital in part 2. And where the hell has he been? What's he doing here? Why is he back at this time? Well, we find out that Nurse Miriam was basically looking after Dr. Loomis, who in his later years, I guess, she was a live-in nurse with Dr. Loomis. We see that Dr. Loomis has plenty of newspaper clippings across the wall showing a map, doing a lot of detective work. Loomis was apparently showing that, and at least in his suspicions, Michael Myers was still actively killing people throughout the Midwest, throughout the country. Kind of strange. I guess the authorities never believed this, or Michael Myers was such a good killer and getting away with things that he never left a paper trail or a fingerprint trail. The FBI, you think, would be on a nationwide manhunt for Michael, especially since, remember, his body was never found. Okay, well, I guess nobody believed Loomis, so Michael's just been out there chilling, doing random killings, whatever, all good. I do want to credit the username on YouTube, Dalek of Chaos 666. I want to credit him. He did make me aware of an H2O comic that kind of goes in the background of Loomis and in the H2O timeline. So in that comic, apparently a couple years prior to H2O, Loomis had a heart attack, was in the hospital, and Michael Myers comes to see him at the hospital. Michael wanted fugitive, or maybe just got tired of the sewer, maybe looking for revenge on Corey, whatever it might be. Michael comes to the hospital to taunt Loomis and writes on the wall the words Carrie Tate, showing Loomis that Not only has he got one over on Loomis, but he in fact knows that Laurie Strode did fake her death. How does Michael know this information? I don't know. It's the same thing about how did Michael know what his sister looked like in part one? How did Michael know about Jamie Lloyd or know what Jamie Lloyd looks like in parts 4 and 5 when he had been in a coma the last previous 10 years? Maybe Michael does have a mind connection where I don't know. Hard to tell. But so we can surmise at the beginning of H2O, Michael knows that Laurie Strode has faked her death. He knows that her name is Carrie Tate, but he doesn't know her location. So that's why he's going to come to kill Miriam here, is to find more information about her whereabouts for Carrie Tate. Now, a couple of questions come to mind with this. One thing is, how the hell did he find this house where Nurse Miriam is? I don't know. Remember, this is 1998. He's not on Google. There's no real online background check it can pull. This is 1998. Even if it was modern times, it's hard to imagine Michael online doing a background to Google search, but I guess Michael is pretty crafty. How the hell did he find where Nurse Miriam lives? And well, I guess we can ask, is this Nurse Miriam's house or was this actually Dr. Loomis's house that she had moved into to take care of him? It's clear by the newspaper clippings that Loomis did live here. So it's just a matter of, was it his house or her house or their joint house? We don't know. Either way, I have to think that Dr. Loomis, knowing that Michael Myers suspects that Michael Myers is out there, was not going to make him or his house easy to find. I don't think he's going to be listing the phone book. I don't think he's going to make it known to the public. Keep in mind, this house is not even in Haddonfield. This is not in Haddonfield. How the hell did Michael Myers find this house? No idea, but okay, this is like Jason finding Alice in Friday 13th Part 2 at the very beginning, but at least in that scenario, they said he followed Alice back from Camp Crystal Lake, so that has a little bit more legs to it, but I don't know, but Michael's here. He breaks on the house, and he recovers a file. We see in the opening scene that he's ransacked the room and he found a file that says Laurie Strode on it. Okay, so I don't know if this movie is just trying to make Dr. Loomis look bad or incompetent, but you're telling me that Dr. Loomis had a file that was visible that said Laurie Strode on it, and in that file was all the information about her new identity, her new location, her new address is all in that file. What? Like, not even a code name on the file? Like, why does it say Laurie Strode? This is one piece of information that you would think Dr. Loomis would keep completely hidden, completely inaccessible. Why is this folder here? This folder would probably be in a safe somewhere. This folder would be burned. Apparently, Michael just reached in the bottom right drawer, and there it was, all the information about Laurie Strode. I don't understand that, but okay. It was a complete crapshoot for Michael to come to this house and think he'd find information anyways, but it's right there laid out for him, right in his room with all his files, the Laurie Strode file. Oh, okay, all right. Now he gets the file, but he hangs around to kill Miriam. Why does he kill Miriam? Well, I guess because if Miriam knows Laurie Strode's identity, her new identity, then if her file goes missing, then Miriam is going to call Laurie Strode in California and warn her that, hey, someone took your file. That makes sense to me. So Michael has to hang around and kill Miriam. Although this scene doesn't make too much sense because at one point he's actually standing behind Miriam in the hallway with a clear avenue to kill her, but then he leaves to go kill the neighbors. I know that Jimmy was very annoying, again, talking about his many suspensions and threatening Michael with a hockey stick, but I don't really know why Michael kills the neighbors here. It seems like he had a direct line to kill Miriam and he could have just bounced out, but instead he's going the extra mile to kill the neighbors. Miriam stupidly comes to the neighbor's house right into Michael's hands. Michael kills her, slices her throat, and then Michael leaves with Jimmy's car. I know Michael needs transportation out of there, but I'd assume very quickly the cops, when they show up to Jimmy's house, they find the bodies. They're going to report that car stolen, and every cop is going to be looking for that vehicle. it's pretty much common sense. Whoever killed them probably is the one who took the car. So, this is a Michael who's certainly been killing from the Midwest and has always covered his tracks, but I feel like Michael probably would have gotten pulled over or chased by the cops, helicopter style, full blown highway chaser. I guess Michael used the back roads all the way to California until he exchanged cars with that couple at the bathroom place. But even then, the old car was there, so there would still be a way to track which new car he had taken from the mom and the kid. I think we can all acknowledge that this opening in H2O is one of the better openings in the series. It's not quite Drew Barrymore and Scream level, but it's a fantastic opening to the movie. I was intrigued, ready to see where this went. The only thing I didn't like is that it clearly makes Dr. Loomis seem incompetent, as he seemed to left a perfect paper trail for Michael to come along and figure out Carrot Laurie Strode's whereabouts, where she's at. I just think Dr. Loomis would be a little more protective of that information and not left a file open there, a file that says Laurie Strode on the file with all the information that Michael needs conveniently there. But okay, whatever. Now, Michael's been chilling for 20 years in this timeline or doing other things. So, what made him suddenly rejuvenated to go back now on his original mission of killing his sister, Laurie Strode? What made him 20 years later on the date? Is Michael just sentimental and said, "Hey, it's the 20-year anniversary. Let me go find this woman and kill her"? We don't know. That's the truth. We don't know. We have one sort of theory within the movie when Laurie Strode slash Carrie Tate figures out that her son is 17 and she was 17 when Michael attacked her. So that's why Michael's come back to kill her son. But this is just Laurie's theory. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. I know Michael has this mind psychic connection thing with his family, but does he really realize that Laurie had a son? He's 17 years old. That put him on the tracks. If that was the case, then Michael just got extremely lucky because in the original, if you think about the story of the movie, there's a great strong possibility that Laurie's son, John, wouldn't have been at the campus when Michael arrived. Remember, the original plan was for him to go to Yosemite with the rest of his classmates. Just by sheer happenstance, John makes his plan to stay behind at the campus. But what the hell was Michael going to do if John wasn't there, if John was his intended victim? Also, on top of that, Michael targets John's friendship group, but never there do I see any big sense of urgency to target John himself. In fact, at one point in the movie, Michael's standing above John with a knife, and for some random reason decides to stab him in the leg. Yeah, he could have reached his arm a little bit further and gave more of a kill blow, but he stabs him in the leg, which for me suggests that Michael really maybe didn't even know who the hell that was. So I don't know. I think Michael's there to kill Laurie. I don't see the connection, the 17-year-old connection at all. But that's a story kind of within the movie because they wanted to give you something there. Otherwise, it just seems like Michael's like, "Hey, 20-year anniversary. Let's go find my sister." A common question we see asked of H2O fans and haters is if this is a follow-up to parts 1 and 2, where are Michael's burn marks at? Why is he not burned? If you remember the damage that Michael took in part 2, he was burned pretty much to a crisp, and also keep in mind he also got his eye shot out by Laurie Strode, who had the precise aim to shoot both eyes out with 2 bullets. Wow. Oh, yeah, I mean, Michael here, we see his damn eyes throughout the entire movie. I mean, the mask is I guess it was like the Freddy vs. Jason thing where they wanted to see somebody who had emotional eyes because we see more of Michael's eyes here than we've ever seen in the franchise, and I don't think it's for the better. I'm not a fan of H2O's mask, but yeah, that his eyes are right there, clear. I don't see them shot out, and we see his hands, and there's no burn mark. So I guess we're going with the idea that Michael has special rejuvenational abilities that allows him to, over the course of the last 20 years, recover from his injuries, show no obvious signs of damage. Or we could say the creators of H2O just didn't give a shit. In spirit, it feels like the movie is more of a follow-up, wanting to be a follow-up to part 1. But they included part 2 here because that's where the brother-sister connection is established. So you had to have part 2 here, but spiritually, I think they really wanted to make it more seem like this was a follow-up to part 1. So We have a freshly clean cut Michael here and no burns to be found. Ah, it is what it is. One sort of fun theory I'd like to address is the idea that maybe this isn't Michael Myers in H2O. We can call it the Roy Burns theory, the old Friday 13th Part 5. Maybe this was a new beginning for Michael Myers. Maybe this was a copycat killer. Maybe some fan of the original murders had known that it was the 20-year anniversary since Laurie was attacked and wanted to go the full gamut here, full Michael Myers costume, found Carrie Tate somehow, broke in the house, did all that stuff, and is here to kill uh, Carrie Tate to fulfill the original mission of their idol Michael Myers. Maybe this is a copycat. Well, in the original script, that character Charlie in this movie was going to be a copycat killer who eventually would be taken out by the real Michael. But I mean, that would explain the lack of burns, and it would explain Michael really not looking like the Michael from parts 1 and 2. Um, and also, but the problem is, I mean, Michael does take some damage in this movie that indicates that he's not your typical human being. I mean, he takes the axe to the chest at one point. So I'm gonna say a veto on that. This is probably the real Michael Myers. It's a fun idea, and that would have been a good setup for Resurrection, just to say that hey, the guy in H2O was a copycat killer. That could have just basically fit right in with the storyline that Resurrection wanted to tell. So, but I'm gonna veto that. I don't think this is a copycat. This is definitely Michael, all freshly no burned and all. So now, for those that don't know, when they were making H2O, initially there was sort of a crisis on the set because Jamie Lee Curtis was under the impression that she was going to get to actually kill Michael Myers. But Mr. Akkad was not having that. His rule of thumb was Michael Myers could never die because we must always be able to bring him back to make money, make profit, keep the man alive. So Jamie Lee Curtis, like, what the hell? I'm here to kill Michael, and you're saying I can't kill Michael. How do we fix this? So the writing solution here was that the audience and Laurie Strode will both think they've killed Michael with no hint given otherwise. But that later on, we'll find out that, of course, it was actually a poor, innocent paramedic who Michael had crushed their voice box so they couldn't speak, had exchanged costumes with the poor paramedic. Michael would then walk off into the wilderness, maybe back to his sewer to hide out for a couple years, and Laurie would behead and chop the head off of the poor paramedic. So they knew that while filming H2O. They knew that this was going to be an imposter, but they wanted to have their cake and eat it too by having it in the moment feel like Laurie was actually killing Michael Myers. So let's ignore what we know in terms of background, that this was all planned. They even shot footage here that they would use in Resurrection, showing Michael walking away as the paramedic. Let's ignore that for a moment and just think about within the movie what we're seeing. Does it seem plausible that this was not Michael at the end? Does it seem, from what we're seeing on screen, could this have been a paramedic? Well, Laurie steals the ambulance. The paramedic's in the back, of course, locking the body bag. To no one's surprise, Laurie, knowing that Michael has those special abilities, the body bag starts moving. The whoever it is in the body bag is woken up, is starting to stir. But I will point to one funny thing that before Laurie realizes this, they're doing the funny thing where the bag is stirring, but then when Laurie looks back at the bag, it freezes. So whoever's in the bag is doing the funny thing of just making sure Laurie doesn't see him stirring. Now, if that's not Michael, why is the damn paramedic playing this game? Okay, all right. I mean, if they knew what they were doing here, then they could have left that out. That doesn't make sense. I'm just looking for, like, okay, you knew this was the paramedic while you're filming this. Like, what are you doing making it seem like Michael? So then, of course, Laurie knows now the body bag is stirring, all types of movement. The hand comes up, unlocks the zipper, zipper's coming down. We see the masked man sit up. And I don't know about you guys, but if I'm the paramedic in that situation, when I first come to and come out of the body bag, the first thing I'm doing is reaching for that mask and taking the mask off. It just solves a lot of problems. You can see better, you can get your whereabouts, and then also anybody looking at you is like, hey, well, yeah, you're someone else. You're not Michael. But Instead, whoever's in the bag after doing the Michael Myers sit up and coming back from the dead, seemingly, proceeds to then just go towards the front of the car as if he's about to attack Laurie Strode, Carrie Tate. If this isn't Michael, then so far he's definitely acting like Michael. Everything's pretty much spot on. He woke up with special healing abilities. He's playing games to make sure Laurie doesn't see him stirring, and now he's approaching the front of the vehicle as if he's about to attack her. This seems like Michael. Laurie hits on the brakes, as it always happens in all these movies. Michael goes flying through the window to the ground, and Laurie waits for him to get up. And I mean, again, I don't know if the paramedic also has like a great resilience and pain threshold and healing abilities, because he sits up with, again, the Michael Myers classic sit up, which I gotta think most people get up in a more natural way versus doing like a sit up, but sits up like Michael, stands up, and we see for the first time that whoever this is has the exact same body, posture, and look as the Michael Myers we've seen all throughout the movie so far. This isn't Michael, but whatever. Michael stand there. Laurie's like, okay, I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch. Puts the pedal to the metal. The van slams into Michael, going down a hill. Van flips over a bunch of times. Michael flies into a tree. The van right behind him slams into Michael, pinning him against the tree. Great action climactic scene there in H2O. So Laurie walks to the tree where Michael is pinned, looking like he's unconscious. I don't know about you guys, but watching the van slam into this human body made me think that whoever this person was probably dead. I mean, that was quite the damn impact of a van slamming into someone's back. Laurie calls the name of her brother, Michael, says it a couple times, and we see the body begin to stir. Again, if this isn't Michael, this is some amazing healing ability for this person to still be alive. Up to this point, I'll be honest, this point, I'm like, yo, this is all complete bullshit. I don't see any scenario here where this is not Michael Myers. But when Laurie says Michael a little bit louder and the person raises his face, the person in the mask, there's the one detail, the one time where it seems like they were like, oh, wait a minute. I forgot. This isn't Michael. Let's film something to show later on if they come back and look at this under observation. Let's show that this isn't Michael. The one thing they do is Michael immediately, or whoever it is in the mask, does reach for the mask. Reach for the mask, and then his eyes for a second actually looks like, hey, what the hell is going on? What is this? Where am I? It's a 3-second thing, and it's the only 3 seconds of this ending that I can say suggests that maybe this is not Michael. But I guess that they remember to put that in there, so I guess that's maybe our evidence that it's the paramedic. That grabbing of the face, that eyes rolling, darting back and forth like, "Hey, where the hell am I?" Maybe this was the paramedic. But after that, Laurie, the guy reaches out, the masked guy reaches out for help, and Laurie reaches her hand back, and you have this fantastic brother-sister moment, it seems, where Laurie's like, you know, thinking about her brother. She's teary-eyed. She's considering her options. They cut to Michael's face, or the masked man's face, as he's reaching out, and the eyes look sinister as shit. The eyes look crazy to me, look demonic. The eyes look like somebody who is clearly tricking you, Laurie. So the eyes at that point didn't look like somebody who was genuinely reaching for help. Laurie comes to her senses, realizing that Michael has killed 1,000 bajillion people, and chops off his head. All right. So could it have been a paramedic, or was it Michael? I would say 90% of the evidence suggests that it's Michael. It feels like it's Michael. It's all of Michael's actions. It's Michael's movements, Michael's healing abilities. You got the one head movement, the grabbing of the mask, that does seem a little bit suspect for Michael. But let's be honest, even Michael can be concussed, probably waking up from a highly concussed moment, waking up after being slammed into a van. Even Michael had to be like, hey, where the hell am I? So, but of course, canon officially says otherwise, and we would go on to resurrection. Okay, that's cool. All right, what's left with H2O? Well, let's talk about, can we connect the H2O timeline to the Thorn timeline? Now, the original writer of H2O actually was going to include the Thorn story in this timeline. Um, Apparently, there was a scene written where Jamie or where Laurie Strode or Carrie Tate, as a teacher, was in her classroom and a student was going to give a report talking about how Jamie Lloyd had been killed. And that was going to cause Carrie Tate to run to the bathroom and throw up and realize that she had left her daughter behind to get killed by Michael Myers. This scene was, of course, removed from the final shooting script. At some point, a decision was made to let's X-nay all the previous sequels except part 1 and 2. And we got an H2O that ignores all the Thorn sequels, but fans still want to, be imaginative and figure out, is there a way to fit this in there? No, I don't think there is. Unfortunately, I've thought about this a lot, and the fact is that Carrie Tate or Laurie Strode, she would have been privy to the events of 4, 5, and 6. If not Loomis telling her, it would have been national news. You would have heard about the whole Haddonfield Police Department getting slaughtered in part 4. You would have heard about all the events of part 5. There's just no way that 4, 5, and 6 go off the radar for Carrie Tate. And we know that at least in H2O, Carrie Tate's still under the impression that the last time Michael Myers was seen was at the end of part 2, where he's being burned, body never found. The events of 4, 5, and 6 just would have been a little bit more paramount in Carrie Tate's mind. It would have been mentioned most likely. Dr. Loomis in part 6 was living by himself, was not living with Nurse Miriam. That could sort of be explained if you say right after the events of part 6, he then moved in with Miriam, where she took care of him, I guess. And then Laurie leaving behind Jamie Lloyd, but still then taking John. Timeline wise, it just doesn't really fit. It makes it seem like Laurie basically took one child and left the other child there, like behind, which makes no sense at all. And again, it would make her the worst mother of all time to actually leave her daughter behind to then get stalked and killed by Michael Myers. I can see why they took that out. I mean, that was going to be a mess to deal with storyline wise. It changes the whole dynamic of Laurie's character. I feel like, again, they had to include part 2 because of the sister combination. But again, I think spiritually, they really just wanted to go straight from feel like this is a legacy sequel to part 1. They want to do what 2018 did, but they had to keep that brother sister combination. But no, I don't think you can fit the Thorn storyline in here. There's too many inconsistencies here. Michael in the Thorn storyline had the burn marks, at least on his hands. He had the Thorn symbol. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit. But I mean, anything's possible. I mean, listen, there's fan theories out there, right, that are pretty out there, but there's ways to cover it up. I mean, Haddonfield coulda did a whole complete cover up parts 4, 5, and 6. Michael Myers could have never actually been held responsible for those murders. It could have been just, hey, that's bullshit. No more of this Michael Myers bullshit. It was someone else that did the murders. I don't know. It's possible, but just highly, highly unlikely that you can connect Thorn to H2O. What happened after H2O? That's one thing we talk about, because in Resurrection, we see no real hints or signs of John or Molly. Are they estranged from Laurie? Is she back to her name, Laurie Strode, in Resurrection, by the way, or is she still Carrie Tate? We don't know. But I think Resurrection is interesting because it does also establish one very interesting thing about Michael, which is that in the H2O timeline, Michael doesn't have a think about killing all his family members. It's just his sisters. Because once he kills Laurie Strode at the beginning of Resurrection, he pretty much damn near retires. He says, look, I'm going to go home and chill. It's time for me to watch soap operas and talk shows, eat popcorn, gain some weight. I'm going to go chill in my underground lair. Everybody leave me alone. But he does not have a thought there to go hunt down John and kill his nephew. Further proof also that in H2O, he wasn't after John. He didn't care about this 17-year-old, that whole connection. Resurrection just shows that because there's no thought for him to go hunt down John. His mission's complete. He's killed his sister. We just have to assume that John basically went about his life, moved somewhere, living his life. What's his relationship with like with Laurie Strode? We don't know. Hopefully, he comes to visit her, but I mean, obviously, she gets killed at the beginning, so there'd be no more visits there. But if Resurrection had been a good movie and there had been room to continue the timeline, maybe we would have picked up with John and Molly later on and saw where that went. I don't know. In terms of Michael after H2O, what'd he do? Well, I mean, he changed into the paramedic's costume and he walks into the woods. I don't know what the hell, Michael? Like how the hell did Michael make it back to Haddonfield? I don't know. Did he hitchhike and just kill his way, find a car, I guess, drove his way back? I don't know. Michael, his ability to lay low key in this timeline and not get caught by the police or not get hunted by the FBI is pretty amazing. I mean, I don't understand if they know H2O is definitely Michael the one doing the killings, where's again like the nationwide manhunt to find Michael? I mean, at this point, he's proven alive. Why aren't they tracking him down? I don't know. He's able to go back to the Myers house and just chill and kill everybody except Buster Rhymes, who would go on to kick his ass. But anyways, that's all. That's for a different resurrection video. As for overall thoughts on H2O, I have to say the new trilogy for me did not diminish H2O in any way. I still think it's a solid sequel. I know it's of its time. I know that because it's in the late 90s, it's kind of fit in with the kind of the Scream ripoffs that time. You have a lot of Creed music playing in the movie, which I'm a fan of Creed, so I don't mind. You have Scream 2 playing in the movie, which again adds to the Scream feel. You have Kevin Williamson had helped write the movie. You have some of the Scream score and the Scream 2 score kind of in the movie as well. So I get that it's of its time. It's also a very quick, lean 81, 82 minutes, but I think it has a solid opening and a very, very good ending. The ending in which she, in my opinion, kills the Michael Myers would have been the best, most definitive ending in the franchise, next to Halloween 4, which also, of course, would have been an amazing definitive ending. But I still like the movie. I still think it's solid. I said it before. I think that Laurie in H2O for me is a better portrayal than what we got in Halloween 2018. Yeah, the movie does have some questions. The mask, what the hell? Why are there moments of the CGI mask? Why they use so many different masks in this movie? Why does the beginning have the mask from Halloween 6? Why couldn't you just use that? I don't know. There's definitely some issues here for sure. But it's a solid movie. There's really nothing that wrong with it. I think the chase scene where Michael's looking for the keys, they drop the keys. I think that's a very suspenseful scene. I think that's solid. Yes, it's lacking in the Halloween feel, the atmosphere, because we're taking place on a school campus for most of the movie. So we're missing the Halloween vibe, and that's probably hurts the movie a lot, I would say. But still a solid sequel. It's not the bomb of the franchise. It's not the top tier of the franchise. It's middle of the pack for me. I just wish that they would have given a better tribute to Dr. Loomis by not making it so that Loomis left a perfect paper trail for Michael to find Carrie Tate. But anyways, it is what it is. If you guys have some opinions on these theories, please in the comments give your thoughts and feelings. And the Halloween community is vast and large. We all have different opinions, but coming together to discuss Halloween in the franchise, it's one of those great fun things to do in life. So love to hear from you guys and appreciate all the new subscribers as well. Keep bringing you more Halloween content. Until next time, watch H2O and drink a lot of water because hey, it's just healthy for you. So